Today, we'll be covering the resort with possibly the most beautiful lobby of any resort on property, and that's Disney's Wilderness Lodge. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, October 12th, and you're listening to episode 109, Resort Spotlight, Disney's Wilderness Lodge. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. Disney shared a closer look at some of the new details on the Zootopia Better Zoogether show, which is coming to the Tree of Life Theater at Animal Kingdom. They showed some photos of the animatronic Clawhauser that's going to be part of the experience. It's larger than life. He looks pretty big, and it looks actually really cool. They also shared some further insights into the story, and that guests are going to be given Carrot Vision glasses. So these are going to be 3D glasses, right? So that you're able to see the 3D elements of the show. The show is set to debut on November 7th, and there will be annual pass holder previews on November 5th and 6th, so the 2 days leading up. It'll open a virtual queue system that you're going to be able to join at either 7 a.m. or 1 p.m., which is similar to what Disney has done with previous virtual queues, so that should be fairly familiar to guests who have done that before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Disney also announced a general opening timeline for the Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets retheme, which is coming to Hollywood Studios. It's set to open sometime in the summer of 2026. So that's a floating summer of 2026, right? So no exact date, but we should hear more concrete details as the summer approaches. They also shared a fresh look at the pre-show scene, which will feature a scooter audio animatronic that was going to be essentially trying to get the Muppets to their concert on time, which is not unlike what was already happening with Aerosmith.
Very similar.
Yeah. They also tease that there are going to be other audio animatronics added to the pre-show scene. We don't have a closing date for the re-theme as of yet, but given the summer opening, we're expecting that that's going to be soon, where there's going to be a closure.
I'm assuming they can just work on a lot of this stuff behind the scenes where they don't have to close it for too long and then shut it down, place everything, and then reopen it again.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's going to have to be closed while they're working on it.
Yeah, but even just in their studios, they can work on the animatronics and stuff, right? They're behind the...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And then
just bring them over.
Just bring them over. So
yes,
I'm assuming that the closing won't have to be as long as some other, Tiana's.
No,
and
you bring up a
that.
good point.
Yeah.
Some of the elements are being probably built and constructed as we speak, and then they're just going to be moved. Yeah, for sure. We also got some Frozen Ever After news over at Epcot. So Disney announced that the audio animatronics at the attraction are going to be replaced to feature the newest technology available. So if you visited the attraction, you've likely noticed that kind of odd coloring on the faces of the characters, Anna and Elsa especially. It kind of looks like a bad makeup job, right?
It does, yes.
The face is a little darker and the neckline is much lighter.
The skin tone,
yeah. So anyways, that's going to be completely changed, right? So they're going to be updated to feature the technology similar to what is already in the parks at Tiana's Bayou Adventure on both coasts, right? And at World of Frozen over in Hong Kong Disneyland, which is essentially cutting edge audio animatronics for, today's tech. These changes are projected for early 2026. Again, no exact date for a closure was given, but given that timeline of early 2026, we should hear on that soon as well. And over at Animal Kingdom, Disney confirmed that Dinobite Snacks and Trilobites will be permanently closing on October 20th, 2025, which is right away. This is sooner than expected, given that Dinosaur is going to remain open for a while longer. I was hoping to grab some snacks for the last time here in January at these places, right? But it looks like that's not going to be happening.
Not this time, I guess.
And not ever.
Yeah, exactly. Over on the West Coast, Disney announced that the Storybook Land canal boats over in Disneyland Park is getting a miniature Rapunzel tower added to the attraction lineup of miniature Disney scenes. During the day, you'll hear When Will My Life Begin as you pass the tower. And then during the evening hours, you're going to hear I See the Light, which are both great tunes from the film. So this should be really fun to see. The attraction is currently closed for a refurb and will reopen with this change. Disney hasn't shared exactly when this is going to happen, but we'll let you know as soon as we do hear.
Yeah, exactly.
A new restaurant is coming to downtown Disney, still over at Disneyland in California. Gordon Ramsay at the Carnaby. That is in partnership, obviously, with Gordon Ramsay himself and the Earl of Sandwich franchise. This is a gastropub located on the second floor of the current Earl of Sandwich location. The space will be inspired by Carnaby Street over in London during the 1960s, and the space is going to be themed to that period with classic tunes being played in the dining room. There's going to be indoor and outdoor seating, and then expect the menu to feature English classics like Chef Ramsay's Beef Wellington, fish and chips, among many other options. There's also going to be a great selection of English beers and cocktails. That's going to be a popular spot.
Yeah, 100%. And when you said Beef Wellington, I just get the, was it Hell's Kitchen?
Yes.
The Beef Wellington.
Yes. Honestly, I bet you that's going to be a hot spot for sure for a while.
Yeah, why not?
We loved the food when we were in London. So if it's coming there, I can see
for
that.
sure. And like I've seen some of Chef Ramsay's like social media presence,
He's
I guess
talented.
you could say, like cooking. And I'm sure it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Disney also announced sweeping price increases across the parks, right? So this is not surprising. It's typical for this time of year, consistently year over year, right? It's never fun to hear that, but it's just the reality. Prices have increased from, dining and snack locations to tours, experiences, and of course, tickets and annual passes as well. Single day park tickets have increased from a max of $199 to $209 for the busiest days, and annual passes all received an increase as well. So just quickly, Incredipass is up to $1,629 from $1,549. Sorcerer Pass $1,099 up from $1,079. Pirate Pass $869 up from $829, and Pixie Pass, which is the lowest tier, $489 up from $469. So anywhere between essentially $20 and $80 on the high end. Standard parking at the park also increased to $35 from $30. Disney is also discontinuing the pre-resort arrival and annual pass holder discounts for Magic Bands. This one is disappointing. So this was a nice perk for staying on property and a nice kind of olive branch to pass holders. And this to us feels a little bit like nickel and diming, right? It was a really nice thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And, for guests that are already paying thousands of dollars to stay on property for those perks, just a little bit of a discount on a Magic Band was nice because you don't even need Magic Bands, right? It's completely a trivial purchase. So anyways, but that's the way it goes. Either way, expect to pay a few dollars more for pretty much anything on property.
And that's the way it goes as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a bit doom and gloom, right, to end the news. But, price increases, they happen every October. We don't love it, but it's the same thing every year, right? So we just kind of have to live with that. Having said that, we do want to take a quick second to wish all of our Canadian listeners a very happy Thanksgiving. We hope you get the chance this weekend to just sit down and have some good food with your loved ones. And for those of you out there that work shift work or you can't be with family for, any reason at all, we're thinking of you as well. And we hope you get a little bit of time for rest and relaxation as well.
Agreed, 100%. So for us, our kids were at my parents' house last night for a sleepover. So that meant Oliver and I had a night out, which was very nice. Thank you to Nana and Pops for that one. We went for dinner and then we saw the movie Roof Man. That's with Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst. It was just okay in our opinion.
Yeah, it's the movie where essentially he breaks into the roofs of McDonald's and he gets caught, then escapes. And it's a whole thing.
I thought it was going to be more about that, but it was more about his brief time where he where he was escaped and hiding in the Toys R Us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So and that it was okay, but I was expecting a little bit more like fun entertainment action on how he landed in jail. But
it wasn't it wasn't bad. But
so this morning we were just kind of puttering around the house, cleaning, and then we're going to head to my parents' house pretty soon here for some Thanksgiving dinner. And then tomorrow is Monday. That's a stat holiday here, so I'm going to be at home with the kids, but Oliver has to work.
Yeah, exactly, which is all good. With that said, let's get into today's main topic, which is Disney's Wilderness Lodge. So Wilderness Lodge is in the Magic Kingdom area of property, right? But it's not as close as the other resorts on the monorail. So it's not on the monorail loop itself, right? But it is still very close to Magic Kingdom, all things considered, right? It's on Bay Lake and you can actually see the Contemporary and Magic Kingdom in the distance, right, from the resort. So that's, how close we're talking here. It is a deluxe resort and prices reflect that for sure. But it's on the average... I don't know about average, but it's not quite as pricey as some of the other deluxe resorts on property. So we stayed here semi-recently in 2023. We spent 8 nights here in one of the Boulder Ridge villas, and we absolutely loved our stay here. We've said this many times before, but it's pretty much the prettiest resort on property. The lobby and the grounds on the shore of Bay Lake is just really a beautiful resort in like a beautiful setting, especially at Christmas.
Oh, yes.
The lobby just gets completely decked out and it's just, stunning.
100% agree. So pretty. So a little bit of history on the resort. It originally opened back in May of 1994. It originally did not have any DVC villas, but 2 DVC properties were added to the resorts over time. And then in the early 2000s, the villas at Wilderness Lodge opened. These are located in a separate building adjacent to the main building. These were later renamed the Boulder Ridge Villas right around when the Copper Creek Villas were announced. Copper Creek is the second DVC property at Wilderness Lodge, and these added the cabins that line the water at the resort, as well as on the south wing of the main building was converted into DVC rooms, and these make up the Copper Creek Villas. Just like the other DVC properties, these can be booked by regular guests and not just DVC members. So that is an option for you if you decide to stay here for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So Peter Dominic was the architect who designed the resort, right? The very same who designed Animal Kingdom Lodge and the Grand Californian over in California. The resort is inspired by the Old Faithful Lodge in Yellowstone National Park. I'm not familiar with that, but
No.
I'm assuming it looks similar. And it strikes that look perfectly, like in terms of like lodges that you would expect to see in the northwestern part of the country, or even like, in places like Banff in
We
Canada.
are used to like what Banff lodges look like, and
exactly.
It nails it.
It's a similar thing, yeah. You definitely feel like you're walking into a lodge, that would be perfectly placed up there. The lobby is filled with imported lodge wood pine. It has super high ceilings, a massive 82-foot tall fireplace, totem poles over 50 feet high. Yeah, there's Northwestern decor and Native American arts and artifacts displayed throughout the lobby as well. It's just really, really, really nice. The floor is hardwood, and there are exposed wood railings that line kind of the walkways that surround the massive lobby. And the ceiling is exposed wood beams as well, as you can imagine. Just think like rich, warm colors, and the whole space, it just feels cozy and inviting, right? There's plenty of seating in the lobby as well, where you can just kind of take in the ambiance. And again, especially during the holidays, you're definitely going to want to do that. The lobby gets a massive tree like right in its center. And yeah, the lodge theming of the resort, it just feels Christmas already. And then you put a Christmas tree in there, and it's just a
knocks it
dream
out
come
of the
true.
park.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't agree more. And then the lobby has this little bridge that goes over actual water with a geyser underneath that you can walk over. Our kids think this is like the coolest thing ever. They get such a kick out of it. It's located at the back next to the windows that overlook the back side of the resort. For the holidays, they put garland on the bridge and wreaths on the window at the back. And again, it's just so beautiful and a really great spot to take photos as well. The outside of the building is also exposed logs stained with a warm, rich colored brown, and then the roof is a dark green color as well. Again, this is what you're going to expect at a national park in the Northwest. The resort is fairly compact. There's only one bus stop, and it doesn't take too long to get from any 2 points anywhere on the resort grounds. So it is family friendly in that sense for sure. You're not going to have to go too far, regardless of where your room is located on property.
Exactly. In terms of layout, when you walk into the front door on your right, you're going to have the check-in desk, right? There's also the concierge there and bell services. And just beyond that, you have the Wilderness Lodge Mercantile, which is the main merchandise store at the resort. In this area, you also have the Cubs Den and the Buttons and Bells Games Arcade. And on your left, when you walk into the lobby, is the Whispering Canyon Cafe, which is one of the 2 table service restaurants at the resort. If you keep going down that left side, there's a bit of a kind of an elbow corridor, I guess you could say. And this is where you're going to find the Territory Lounge. And if you follow that hallway a little further up, you're going to find the hugely popular Storybook Dining at Artist Point. It's, anyways, we'll get into that in a minute. But there's a sloped walkway right next to Storybook that leads kind of out to the back of the resort. And just to your left of that is the main quick service restaurant, which is named Roaring Fork.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can access the back of the resort from here. There's a bit of a walking path that goes around the back of the resort. There's also a water feature and waterfall that leads to the main pool area, which is named the Copper Creek Springs Pool. Just behind the pool is the Geyser Point Bar and Grill, which is right on Bay Lake. The main building is shaped kind of like a triangle. So the top of the triangle is the lobby area, and then it gets wider as it goes to the back of the resort, with the pool in the center of the space behind the resort. To the right of the main building is the Boulder Ridge Villas. This building has 2 wings with a small lobby. And then in front of that building is the Boulder Ridge Cove Pool. And there's also the Sturdy Branches Health Club in the lobby over there. The lobby and the theming of the resort continues here with that exposed wood. And then the lobby here obviously isn't as grand, of course, but it's still very, very nice. It's shaped in a circle with open railings in the upper floors and a chandelier in the middle. We're honestly not doing it justice here. It's just a very nice lobby as well.
Yeah, exactly. When we would go up to our room when we were staying there, the kids would just like essentially run to the railing to look down.
Always.
Because it was a really nice space there.
Yeah.
So the building is actually set a bit further back from Bay Lake, and in front of it you have kind of half the cabins that are along the water. Half of them are on this side of the main building, and the other half are on the other side, right, which is closest to the Contemporary Resort. These are officially named the Cascade Cabins at Copper Creek Villas and Cabins. So there's 26 of these all along the water, and like I was saying, on either side of the back of the resort. There's also 2 docks on the water here as well, and you can take a boat from the resort to Magic Kingdom from here. But yeah, in terms of transportation, we'll get deeper into that in just a bit.
Yep, exactly. So let's now talk rooms and the different categories. So first off, the Boulder Ridge Villas recently got a refresh in 2023. We actually stayed in a refurbished room for our stay, and it was really, really good. We were so happy with the room. Copper Creek is also just wrapping up a soft goods refresh on its villas as well. And then the main guest rooms, meaning the non-DVC rooms at the resort, were refurbished back in 2021. So not too long ago, all things considered.
Yeah, exactly.
So for categories, there are three main ones, which are the regular resort rooms, the villas at Boulder Ridge, and the villas at Copper Creek. That can also be including the cabins. For regular rooms, you have a resort view, a water view, and a fireworks view. These rooms all look the same. They feature 2 queen beds, a TV and a TV stand that doubles as a dresser, a seating area with 2 chairs, and then a small side table, a small coffee nook that has a coffee maker, a beverage cooler, and attached to that is a stand-up dresser as well where you can hang your clothes. The washrooms have double sinks and the toilet and shower with a sliding glass door that are separated by a pocket door, which is always a nice feature.
Yeah, it's a similar layout in most of the
It is, yeah.
more like recently refreshed rooms across property.
Sure.
The rooms are nice, right? So the wood accents are darker wood color, like basically the rest of the resort, right? Most of the walls are cream colored, and the walls that the beds are backed onto have wallpaper with like nods to Chip and Dale. And there's also Bambi artwork by the coffee maker. So you also get either a patio or a balcony, depending on what floor you're on. So the views are fairly self-explanatory, right? They give you either views of landscaping, trees, rooftop, and parking areas, right? That would be your resort view. The water view have either views of the pool, waterfall area, or Bay Lake. And the fireworks views gives you views of landscape and the cabins in the distance. But the kicker is that you're going to be able to watch Magic Kingdom fireworks like in the distance from your balcony, which is pretty nice. In terms of price, in the lowest season of the year, so around, I think, end of August and beginning of September, these rooms start at $540 per night for a resort view and up to around $750 per night for fireworks views. And that only goes up during busier times, right? Where resort views is going to be closer to $700 a night and fireworks views closer to $900 a night.
Yeah, that's not cheap. But believe it or not, that's definitely not the most expensive rooms near Magic Kingdom. On average, the rooms at the Contemporary, the Grand Floridian, and the Polynesian all start way more expensive than that, even during the quieter seasons, and then go up to astronomical prices during the busier times.
Exactly, yeah.
With that, these room categories are also available for king bedrooms, which essentially is the exact same room layout with 2 side tables and then a bit of extra room on either side of the bed. Otherwise, they are identical, and you do have resort, water, and fireworks views for these king bedrooms as well. And then these all start right around the same price as the 2 queen rooms. You also have the club level rooms with resort views. These are the same rooms with either 2 queens or a king, same layout and everything, but it does give you access to the Old Faith Club.
Yeah, exactly. So for club level, you also have deluxe rooms, which are larger than the standard 2 queen and king rooms. It features a separate living room with a table and 2 chairs that you can actually sit down and kind of eat at. So like think of a standard table for 2 kind of thing. Yeah. TV dresser, a queen sofa bed, a patio or balcony, again, depending on what floor you're on. And you actually have a small little coffee station with a small sink, a coffee maker, and a beverage cooler. Then you have a bedroom separated by doors. So there's 2 queen beds in there. There's a TV in this room as well with a TV dresser. And there's also a desk with a mirror where you can kind of do your makeup or whatnot. The washrooms have double sinks, and the toilet and shower are separated by a pocket door, just like everywhere else. The door to the washroom is actually accessible from both the entrance when you first walk in and from the bedrooms. So these kind of a nice feature. And yeah, these are super nice rooms, right? But as you can imagine, they are expensive. The club level rooms start around $850 a night for the 2 queen and king rooms. And again, this is during quiet season. It only goes up from there. And the deluxe club level rooms actually start around $1,050 per night during the quiet season and only go up from there. So yeah, steep prices.
Yeah, for sure. And then for the Boulder Ridge Villas, you have the Deluxe Studios Resort View, which all have views of either the pool, the courtyard, woodlands, or the Wilderness Lodge itself. These have 1 queen and 1 pull-down Murphy bed, the same as the other more recent refurbished rooms on property. We actually love these. It gives you back a little bit of space during the day because you can obviously put the Murphy bed back up. These also have that 5th sleeper single pull-down from the TV stand, which is a really nice feature as well. We stayed in one of these during our stay in 2023, and it was honestly perfect. Oliver and I had the queen. Caleb had the Murphy bed, and then Sophia is tiny enough that she slept on the 5th sleeper.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we were saying earlier, these were refurbished in 2023, and they look really cool. Nice vinyl flooring that looks like wood, a colored headboard, and a colorful area rug and curtains. There's Chip and Dale and Huey, Dewey, and Louie artwork on the beds and walls. The Murphy bed doubles as a couch when it's pushed up, and then the 5th sleeper doubles as a TV stand. There's also a small kitchenette with a mini fridge, microwave, coffee maker, toaster, and sink. The washroom is split. You have the vanity, and then the toilet and shower tub combo are separated by a door. These start at around $540 a night during the low season, and then obviously go up from there during the busier seasons.
Yeah, exactly. The nice thing about the villas is that they have a bit more of a kitchen, right? So rather than just like a counter space with a little coffee maker and a beverage cooler, it actually has a mini fridge, a microwave, a toaster, right? So you can keep like milk and you can make cereal, make toast, that kind of thing. So,
and we took full advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly. We normally do if we're staying in a villa. You also have 1-bedroom villas with a resort view. These feature a king bed and a queen-size pull-down Murphy bed. The king bed is in a separate bedroom, of course, and then they also have a full kitchen and a washer and dryer, which is quite nice. There's stool seating at the kitchen counter and a small table with a booth seat and 2 chairs, so you can actually, basically the whole family can sit down and eat kind of thing. And these have bright pops of color, very similar to what you're going to find in the studios. And again, they're really nice rooms. The 2-bedroom villas feature 2 bedrooms, obviously, right? One with a king and the other 2 with 2 queens. And then that pull-down Murphy bed that doubles as the couch in the living room. So it sleeps up to 8 people. There are 2 bathrooms in those, each with their own vanities, toilets, and showers, and a full kitchen and washer and dryer. Again, very similar color palette, but significantly larger rooms. The 1-bedroom villas start around $835 a night, and the 2-bedroom villas around $1,485 a night.
This would be a good option, though, like if we ever went with my parents.
Yeah, like if you had 2 families, to
like honestly,
split that cost, because it's still, well, that's the thing. Like $700 for each party. But
agreed. But this one would be a really good option for us with my parents, I think. So for Copper Creek, you also have deluxe studios. These rooms are quite nice as well, with a slightly lighter color palette than the Boulder Ridge rooms. The floors and the furniture are more of a caramel wood color. They have a queen bed and a queen-size sleeper sofa. No pull down here, not at least from the day of this recording.
Yep.
They have a small table with 2 chairs, a small kitchenette with a sink, mini fridge, coffee maker, and microwave with some cabinet space. The vanity is also split from the shower and the toilet with a pocket door, and these start around $540 a night.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fairly similar overall when it comes to like the room layout.
Yes.
But I should say that I was actually scrolling just yesterday and I saw this on Facebook. Somebody stayed in a recently refurbed Copper Creek villa and they look more like the Boulder Ridge villas now. Okay. The color palette is a little bit different, but it now has that pull down Murphy bed.
There it is. Yeah.
They're slowly being converted to more of what you would expect to see at Boulder Ridge.
Perfect.
But yeah, all that to say is that they do have those studios, the 1, 2, and 3 bedroom villas. That's something that Copper Creek does have, is the 3 bedroom villas as well. So the 1 bedroom villas have, again, a similar color palette as the studios. They have a separate bedroom with a king bed and a queen sleeper sofa, a dining table, full kitchen, and a washer dryer. These start at $915 per night. The 2 bedroom villas feature obviously 2 bedrooms, 1 king, the second with 2 queens and a queen sleeper sofa. So again, that sleeps up to 8. Also a full kitchen, living and dining area, washer and dryer, 2 washrooms with their own toilets and showers. These start at $1,485 a night as well. And then they have the 3-bedroom grand villas, which are pretty extravagant. These have a full-blown living room with lots of seating, a grand dining room with a massive table that sits up to 12 people, a beautiful full kitchen, 3 bedrooms, 1 with a king and 2 with 2 queens, and a sleeper sofa, sleeping up to 12. It has 3 full washrooms, and these are going to set you back anywhere between $2,500 and $4,500 a night.
And that's where we would stay if my sister's family joined us as well.
Yeah, and even then, I don't know. That's ultra expensive.
We might just all get small rooms somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And last but certainly not least for Copper Creek, you have the cabins. These are separate, private waterfront cabins. There are 26 of them in total that overlook Bay Lake. These are absolutely beautiful. They remind me of cottages that you would see along a lake in the Northwest. They look rustic, but make no mistake, these are very luxurious for sure. They feature gorgeous full kitchens with an open concept with floor-to-ceiling windows that give you absolutely great views of the lake. They have a dining room, a living room, 2 bedrooms, and 2 full bathrooms, and a washer and dryer. You also have a private hot tub in the back as well. If you haven't seen what these look like, go check them out on the Disney website or on YouTube. It's definitely worth it.
This is bucket list stuff for sure.
For sure. We have never stayed in one, but it would definitely be bucket list, like Oliver said, for us. They started around $1,500 a night and significantly more during the busier times. And these book up really, really fast, believe it or not, even at those prices.
Yeah, exactly. And they sleep up to 8. So if you pool that with another family, it would be closer to achievable. But yeah, it's expensive. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Lots of different room categories to choose from, right? None of them are cheap, but like we said, it's a deluxe resort. So that's to be expected. You may be able to get a room in the $400 per night range, right, with discounts during less busy times of year, or by renting DVC points, which is actually what we did when we stayed in the Boulder Ridge villas a couple of years ago. All right, next up, let's talk dining. And it should come as no surprise because this is a deluxe resort and they have some stellar dining options here. So, hands down, the most popular dining spot is Storybook Dining at Artist Point. Okay, so this is a character dining experience with Snow White, Dopey, Grumpy, and the Evil Queen. Besides Topolino's breakfast over at the Riviera, this is my personal second favorite character meal kind of anywhere at Walt Disney World.
I would agree, yeah.
And that's partially due to the characters for sure, but there's also great food here. It's actually excellent. We've been here twice, and both times we were very pleased with the food and just the overall experience as a whole.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Great food. Definitely way up there when it comes to character meals. The whole dining room is themed to the Enchanted Forest, and you have fake trees whose branches are illuminated with multicolored lights, and they stretch out all over the dining room. It is so pretty in there. Yeah. And it's definitely a fun atmosphere. The kids really, really love it there. Our son will pretend that he's too cool for this, but as soon as Grumpy and Dopey come around, he gets all, I'll take my picture, no problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So Grumpy, Dopey, and Snow White are going to come to your table for a meet and greet during your meal. Grumpy and Dopey are silent, but they are super fun. The kids really get a kick out of meeting them. And then for the queen, you actually get an invitation to go up and take your photo with her. She does not come by the table. She's too good for that. She has her own setup with a background that has a magic mirror. It's a whole thing. For us, it was a really fun meet and greet because outside of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, you do not see the Evil Queen very often, if at all.
Yeah, exactly. Super fun. The meal itself is kind of half family style, half a la carte, but it is a fixed price, which is $67 for adults and $41 per child. Again, it's quite steep, but it's certainly not the highest when it comes to character meal pricing. The table has these little stands that look like a mini tree, and like the tree canopies are flat on top, and this is where they're going to put your appetizers and desserts. So the appetizers are a sampling of different items for the table, like all the table. So for the adults, it's smoky mushroom bisque, which is really, really good.
So good.
Hunter's Harvest, which is a turkey and chicken with cranberry preserve and a crispy sauerkraut. And that was actually really good as well. And then they also have a shrimp cocktail with Bloody Mary vinaigrette and mixed greens, which, we like.
Can't go wrong with that.
Exactly. We love shrimp. And then for the kids, they bring a cute appetizer with veg, fruit, and cheese. And the veggies actually come in like a little toppled plank bucket, which I thought
so cute.
Really nice presentation.
That's where I think the ranch is or whatever. Yeah.
It was really well done.
It's so good. And then you get to choose your entree. So you have beef stroganoff, prime rib roast, slow braised pork shank, herb chicken, fish, as well as a couple of plant-based options. We've tried the prime rib and the pork shank here. Both were really, really good. And then the dessert also comes with a sampling of a few things. These are the Miner's Treasure with cookies and cream panna cotta and chocolate gems, the Fairy Tale seasonal tart made with fruit and meringue, and our absolute favorite, the Poison Apple, which is a dark chocolate apple mousse with a sour center that actually looks like a tiny little red apple.
It's super cute.
It's super well done.
Yeah.
The kids' entrees are chicken strips, grilled chicken, fish, or prime rib with your choice of two sides like veg, mac and cheese, or potatoes. Like Oliver said, the food is great here. Definitely one of our favorite character meals. They also do something very special at the end of your meal with chocolate hearts, but we're not going to spoil that. These are just little extras that make this meal completely worth it.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Also in the lobby of the main building is the table service Whispering Canyon Cafe, which we alluded to earlier. So the restaurant itself is not overly themed. It has exposed wood logs that kind of match the rest of the resort lobby. But the standout here is the cast members. They essentially treat you like family, okay? So they're going to make dry remarks and over-exaggerate certain things. Like if you ask them for straws, they're just going to throw like a bunch of straws on your table. If you ask for ketchup, they're going to bring you 20 bottles of ketchup. And if you ask for a refill, the next cup they're going to bring you is like a massive cup.
Yeah.
Like, you want more? Here's more, that kind of thing, right? So they also make jokes as your expense. It's all in good fun, obviously, and there's definitely a theatrical component to that. But if you're, someone who is introverted, and if this sounds awful to you, right, it might not be the place to come. But, I think it's tons of fun. In terms of food, it serves brunch and dinner. They specialize in all you care to enjoy skillets with assorted meats, but they also do entrees and appetizers a la carte as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then for the brunch, they have the Heritage, the Carnivore, or their lighter side skillets. And then they have a selection of other entrees like frittatas, omelets, waffles, as well as more lunch-focused items like burgers and sandwiches. And then for dinner, they have the traditional skillet, the pig skillet, the land and sea skillet, and the plant-based skillet as well. They also have steak, fish, among a few other options. The food is good here, but the atmosphere is really what's awesome. It's so fun. It's a good place to eat if you are staying here, but we can't say we would necessarily make the trek to the resort just specifically to dine here. If you were doing that, we would honestly send you over to Storybook.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. All right, going back near Storybook, right next to it is the Territory Lounge. So it's kind of unassuming. It doesn't look like much, right? But it's definitely a good place to grab a drink and some light bites. The theming is much the same as the rest of the lobby. Think exposed wood, animal carvings, and wilderness-themed artwork on the walls, that kind of thing. The bar chairs are all dark wood as well as dark brown leather. But don't let that fool you, right? The menu here is actually pretty solid. So they have a Territory popcorn sampler with spicy caramel sea salt, truffle, and barbecue flavored popcorn, the smoked trout fish dip, a charcuterie board with artisanal cheeses and handcrafted bread, bacon on the wire, which is essentially candied bacon on an actual wire, which is super tasty. They actually serve that with deviled eggs and bourbon drizzle. And then they have the caprese flatbread, the loaded potato flatbread, and the bone and brie loaded mac and cheese. They also have a fun selection of themed cocktails and a wide selection of beers, wine, bourbons, that kind of thing. It's a full bar.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have some really good shareable plates there. And then just down the sloped hallway from Storybook is Roaring Fork. This is the main quick service at the restaurant. The theming of the resort continues here. It has a medium-sized dining room inside, and then they have more tables outside that overlook the waterfall and the pool. We've actually eaten here a couple of times on our last day. It's open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. The menu features your standard quick service options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For breakfast, they have breakfast platters, waffles, oats, sandwiches, bakery items like muffins, bagels, and assorted pastries. They also do standard and specialty coffees as well. And then for lunch and dinner, they have burgers, chicken strips, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and then a ton of sweet bakery options. And there are some healthier options here as well. They also have grab and go options as well if you are needing something to take with you into the parks.
Yeah, exactly. And we saved the best for last, but behind the pool on the water, you're going to find Geyser Point Bar and Grill. So when it comes to these kind of lounge type restaurants, this is our second favorite on property.
Yes.
The first being Three Bridges over at Coronado Springs, but this is a really close second.
Agreed.
So this is a classic service restaurant in the sense that it's kind of a mix between table service and a lounge. It doesn't take advanced dining reservations, but it does get quite busy. It's certainly not a secret how good this place is. So if you're looking to dine here, get on that wait list nice and early. This is an open air restaurant that has no exterior walls. It's all open to the outside, but it is covered with a bar kind of in the middle of the restaurant and seating all around it. It offers great views and just kind of the vibes of the resort and Bay Lake in the background. The menu features a ton of really good options. For appetizers, they have Chipotle barbecue bison meatballs, mac and cheese bites, geyser chicken wings with teriyaki or sriracha buffalo. Both are really good, by the way. They also have shrimp on a wire, handcrafted crab cakes, charcuterie flatbread, and edamame with chili salt.
And then for entrees, they have barbecue ribs, the bison cheeseburger, which you've had a couple of times, and I think you loved it, right?
Oh, yeah, so good. Yep.
I've actually had the ribeye steak sandwich, which is also really, really good. I also had the crispy chicken sandwich with sriracha buffalo. Also very tasty. I love a good chicken sandwich.
Yep.
They do have some lighter options as well, like salads, fish, and sandwiches. They also have a good selection of cocktails. We've actually had the Sunset Margarita, the Black Cherry Mule, the Huckleberry Punch, and the Cascadia Sangria cocktail. These were all extremely tasty.
Very good drinks here, yep.
This is also a kid-friendly restaurant as well. Don't think you can't take your kids here. They do have a kids menu. We actually took our kids here on check-in day during our last day, and they absolutely loved it here. They loved eating outside.
Yeah, but we'll reinforce what we were saying earlier is we had quite a bit of a wait,
We
right?
did.
We ended up watching, they were playing like movies under the
That's
stars. So
right.
we were watching a bit of the movie while we were waiting. But yeah, we got in eventually and
Yeah.
it was a really good meal.
Agreed.
And that's it for dining. There's not a ton, right? But considering the size of the resort, it's decent. And what they do have is stellar. But yeah, that's to be expected, right? Because it is a deluxe resort. So personally, we've come to Wilderness Lodge just to eat, right? That's either at Storybook or Geyser Point. So there's definitely some destination-worthy options here for sure.
Agreed.
With that said, let's get into pools and recreation. So the main pool of the resort is Copper Creek Springs Pool, which is right outside the back doors of the main lobby. It features a 67-foot water slide built into the rocks. It's a decent-sized pool for sure, and you can actually see the waterfall from the pool, and it definitely has a good ambiance, I'd say, just because of that. We had fun in the pool area here with the kids for sure when we stayed here. Right next to it, there's also the Copper Creek Springs Kiddie Pool, which is a fun kind of splash area for your younger littles. And in front of the Boulder Ridge Villas, you have the Boulder Ridge Cove Pool. This is a quiet pool, so there's no slides here or anything, but it is a decent size. It's definitely not as busy as the Copper Creek Pool, right? Which is to be expected. So if you're looking for a more leisure experience, this is where we would send you, right? We were closer to this pool, obviously staying at Boulder Ridge, but the kids were having none of it, right? And we can't say we blame them.
Yeah, we suggested it a couple of times and it was honestly just a no-go. They're all about the water slide. It's the same thing over at Caribbean Beach when we stayed there too. I think the only resort where we swam in the quiet pool was actually at the Poly. And this was their first trip to Disney ever. Anyways, for other recreation, they of course have campfires nightly from 6:30 to 7:30 with complimentary marshmallows and then a s'mores kit for a fee. This is right next to Geyser Point. They also have movies under the star like every other resort. Right now, it's at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday is Hocus Pocus, Tuesday is Lilo and Stitch, Thursday is Brother Bear, and Saturday is Beauty and the Beast. These are subject to change as the seasons change. There are daily pool activities at the Copper Creek Springs for cast member-led games and then fun both in and out of the pool. This happens at 2 p.m. They also do nighttime pool parties on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
Yeah, that's right. And at Humphrey's Hideout near the pool area, there are activities and crafts daily from 12 to 1:30 p.m. And additional activities and crafts are also available on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. You can also make Mickey tie-dye shirts here on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, also from 3:30 to 4:30. And over in the lobby, there's the Wonders of the Lodge Art and Architecture Tour, which is daily at 9 a.m. Here, a cast member is actually going to lead you on a 1-hour walking tour and kind of highlight some of the artifacts, and craftsmanship and just the overall architecture of the resort. There's also a tasteful artistry at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. This is a paid activity where you're going to make your own specialty wooden artwork that you're going to be able, obviously, to take with you when you're done. This happens on Thursdays at noon, and reservations can be made for this experience.
That's right. I honestly wish we had done that tour when we stayed here. That sounds like it's right up our alley.
Yeah, 100%. I do regret not doing that, but we'll have to do it. If we ever stay there again, we'll have to do it for sure.
Yeah, agreed. So aside from that, you have the Buttons and Bells Arcade, which is just off the main lobby. This is open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. There's also Storytime Yoga on Fridays at 9 a.m. across from the arcade. Check-in starts at 8:45 a.m. for that experience. You also have a guided fishing excursion on Bay Lake, jogging trails along the water and the woodland surrounding the resorts. And then you also get to see and hear the electrical water pageant every night, which took us off guard. Honestly, the first time we stayed at a Magic Kingdom resort, we didn't know what was going on.
It took us a second, yeah.
Yeah, it took us a second to figure out what the sound was before we clued in on it.
Yeah, exactly. And then like any other Disney resort, right, there's a lot of things going on outside of just traveling to and from the parks, right? Next up, let's talk location and transportation. So like we said earlier, the resort is not on the monorail loop, but it's quite literally right next to the Contemporary and by extension the TTC, right? So you can't actually walk to the Magic Kingdom from the resort, but it's just a short boat ride or bus ride from the front gates. The boat definitely is a nice way to get to Magic Kingdom, assuming you're not in a rush and assuming that the weather is cooperating. True. If you're trying to get to the front of the pack for rope drop, we would actually recommend taking the bus, even when the boat is running. They're still going to run buses to Magic Kingdom even though they have a boat, right? And that's what we did when we stayed here. We would take the bus in the morning and then the boat back in the evening. There's also a boat that runs from Wilderness Lodge to the Contemporary and then also onto Fort Wilderness, kind of on a loop. So if you were trying to get to either of those resorts from Wilderness Lodge, you could certainly do that. We did that just for fun on our Epcot day, actually, coming back home at the end of the day. We took the monorail to the Contemporary and then the boat back to Wilderness Lodge, which was a nice kind of way to end the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't the quickest way home, but we weren't in a rush. So it was actually really nice. It was a beautiful evening for it.
Yeah, it was a nice night, yep.
And then on that note, this route, so the Contemporary, Fort Wilderness boat, only starts around 3 p.m. and then it ends at 11 p.m. It does not operate earlier in the day. And then aside from that, it's bus transportation to all other resorts and Disney Springs. The resort is pretty compact, so there's only one bus stop, and it's right next to the front entrance of the resort. So it's pretty convenient to get to no matter where you are staying on property.
Exactly, except maybe like the furthest cabins away from the lobby, but even that, it wouldn't be like too far, right? Yeah. All right, now let's get into some pros and cons. So pros for the resort, it's absolutely beautiful, right? We've said it lots, but the grand lobby, just the Northwest Lodge theming overall, that massive tree and decorations that they put in the lobby at Christmas time. Yeah, like it's probably the most beautiful lobby on all of property.
Agreed.
It has a good pool, great dining options, and the rooms were refreshed recently, and it's still going on now at Copper Creek, and they're looking really good. It's close to Magic Kingdom. It gives you boat and bus transportation, and that's important to some guests to have something more than buses. Yep. So they have that here, but it definitely has more serene vibes than I'd say the other resorts around Magic Kingdom. So it doesn't kind of feel as hectic as the monorail resorts, right?
I would agree completely with that.
Like Poly, Contemporary, Grand Flow, not as much, but Poly definitely has a ton of people that aren't staying there, just visiting, right? Either to watch fireworks or to eat at Ohana. It just feels busy. It doesn't feel that at Wilderness Lodge.
This feels very secluded.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing too that we will mention is that being that it is a deluxe resort, you do qualify for extended evening hours when you stay here, which is always a nice perk.
Yeah, exactly. Now for the cons. It is a deluxe resort, as we just said, so it's not cheap by any means. But to be fair, it is a little less expensive than the monorail resorts, which kind of leads us to our next con. You are paying for deluxe and proximity to Magic Kingdom, but you're actually not that close. So it may deter some people who prefer to be on the Seven Seas Lagoon. There's also only bus transportation to every park aside from Magic Kingdom. As you know, that's not a deal breaker for us, but we do know some folks that really do not like the bus, but that's just the reality of this resort. And if you want to be in the middle of the action, this resort, like Oliver was saying, tends to feel a little bit more secluded. So if that's important to you, you may want to consider an actual monorail resort.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, we'll leave you with our final thoughts. So if, in case it didn't come across right, we really love this resort. It's definitely on our top 5 list of favorites across property. We like that it's more compact than some of the other resorts on property. So think like Caribbean Beach and even our beloved Coronado, like Saratoga, all Key West, all super spread out, right? We know we've said this a lot, but it's a really beautiful resort as a whole. And even if you're not staying here, it's worth to come check out, especially during the holidays. The one bus stop is nice. It gave us no issue staying here. And like we said, Geyser Point is an awesome option, and Storybook is the second best character dining experience at Walt Disney World. So if you're, into character dining or have character dining aged children, definitely come check this one out at least once. And we would 100% recommend a stay here if any of this sounds like something that you'd enjoy as well.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. It is really pretty here. I was floored the first time we walked in because it was actually around Christmas time and the tree was up and just jaw-dropping. So beautiful.
Yeah, agreed 100%. With that said, thank you for joining us today to talk Disney's Wilderness Lodge. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And as always, if you could leave us a rating and review, it would be greatly appreciated. If you choose to do so, you can leave reviews right on Apple Podcasts. And for Spotify, you can leave a rating.
You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at letsgo.to-disney, as well as on our Facebook page, Let's Go to Disney. We share some helpful reels here as well as some fun ones. The link tree in the show notes will take you to all of our socials.
Have a great day and we'll see you real soon.